Mitosis in the cell cycle. In this lesson, we'll look at the science and engineering practices of developing and using models, constructing explanations and designing solutions, engaging in argument from evidence, and obtaining, evaluating, and communicating information. Our cross-cutting concepts include cause and effect, scale, proportion, and quantity, as well as systems and system models. Creating new cells. Most animals and plants begin life as a single cell, but grow to contain billions of cells. So how does one cell become many? Animals and plants grow by increasing the number of cells that they are made of. To do this, body cells go through a process called the cell cycle. The cell cycle is made of two stages, interphase and mitosis. After going through one complete cell cycle, one body cell will have divided to produce two body cells. Cell division. The cell cycle enables a cell to divide into two new cells. The cell undergoing cell division is called a parent cell. The parent cell divides to form two identical daughter cells. The daughter cells can also go through the cell cycle. This enables even more new cells to be produced. The role of the cell cycle. The cell cycle has a number of roles in living organisms. Growth and development. The cell cycle produces new body cells. An increase in the number of body cells enables organisms to grow large in size. Repair and replacement. New cells produced by the cell cycle can be used to replace old and damaged cells in an organism so that they can continue to function. Asexual reproduction. Some organisms use the cell cycle to produce offspring. The new cells produced by the cell cycle develop into independent organisms. Asexual reproduction requires only one parent to produce offspring. The offspring are genetically identical to each other and the parent. Both single-celled and multicellular organisms can reproduce asexually. The cell cycle in context. Here are just some situations in which cell division, as a result of the cell cycle, is occurring. An embryo developing into a fully formed organism. This is a form of growth and development. A wound healing following an injury. This is an example of repair and replacement. Muscles getting larger as a result of exercise training. This is also an example of growth and development. A strawberry plant producing runners, which go on to form new individual plants. This is a form of asexual reproduction. Chromosomes. In eukaryotic cells, genetic information is located inside the nucleus in the form of structures called chromosomes. Each chromosome is made of a single molecule of DNA. In body cells, chromosomes are normally found in pairs. Chromosomes contain many genes. A gene is a short section of DNA on a chromosome that contains instructions for a particular characteristic. What happens during fertilization? Fertilization is the stage of sexual reproduction in which the male and female gametes fuse. In humans, when an egg cell is fertilized by a sperm cell, the haploid nuclei of each gamete combines to form a diploid zygote. This means the zygote contains the full number of chromosomes. The zygote then undergoes cell division through mitosis to become an embryo. Growth in multicellular organisms. Every multicellular organism begins as a single fertilized cell. This cell divides by mitosis to produce the many cells that make up a multicellular organism. Each new cell is genetically identical to its parent cell. This means that all cells in the developing multicellular organism have the same genetic information, with the exception of gametes. Recall, gametes are the sex cells, the sperm and the egg. Interphase. This is where DNA replication occurs. When a cell enters the cell cycle, it goes through a stage called interphase. This stage prepares a cell for mitosis, which happens later in the cell cycle. During interphase, each chromosome in the cell is duplicated through the process of DNA replication. So we have our original chromosome, DNA replication occurs, and we now have a duplicated chromosome. A cell is unable to enter the mitosis stage of the cell cycle until every chromosome has been duplicated. Why is DNA replicated during interphase? As a result of DNA replication, the cell has doubled the normal number of chromosomes in its nucleus at the end of interphase. This means that when the cell later divides during mitosis, each daughter cell is able to receive one complete set of chromosomes from the parent cell. As a result, each daughter cell is diploid. This means they contain the normal number of chromosomes in their nucleus. The daughter cells are also genetically identical to one another, as well as the original parent cell. Cell growth. A cell also undergoes structural changes during interphase. As a result of cell growth, the cell becomes larger in size. This means that when the cell later divides during mitosis, each daughter cell will be large enough to function. The number of subcellular structures inside the cell also increases. For example, new ribosomes and mitochondria are produced. Recall the role of ribosomes and mitochondria. Remember, ribosomes produce proteins and go through protein synthesis. Mitochondria are responsible for cellular respiration. We might think of them as the powerhouse of the cell, where they're breaking down glucose and releasing energy. Any new cell must be able to synthesize its own proteins and release energy through cellular respiration to function independently. When a cell divides, each daughter cell has enough subcellular structures to carry out normal cellular functions. True or false? Interphase happens after mitosis in the cell cycle. That's false. Mitosis happens after interphase. Interphase prepares a cell for cell division, which happens later in the cell cycle. This is true. During interphase, the number of ribosomes in the cell's cytoplasm increases. This is also true. At the end of interphase, a cell has double the number of chromosomes in its nucleus. This is also true. We can't enter mitosis unless we've copied all of the chromosomes. As interphase progresses, the cell becomes smaller in size. This is false. As we go through interphase, we go through the G1 as well as the synthesis phases and also the G2 phase. Both of the G phases are responsible for cell growth. Mitosis. Mitosis happens after interphase in the cell cycle. Mitosis will only begin once the interphase stage has finished. Mitosis is the stage of the cell cycle where the cell divides to produce two new daughter cells. Mitosis consists of several stages during which the duplicated chromosomes are shared between the daughter cells. So what happens during mitosis? Mitosis is a complex process, but it can be divided into several key stages. First, the nucleus in the parent cell breaks down. This allows for the duplicated chromosomes to enter the cytoplasm. Then, all of the chromosomes align across the center of the parent cell. The first stage we know of as prophase. The second stage we know of as metaphase, where all of the chromosomes align in the middle of the cell. The third stage, the duplicated chromosomes are pulled apart from one another to opposite ends of the cell. In the fourth stage, the parent cell divides to produce two daughter cells. The third stage is known as anaphase, where each of these chromosomes are being pulled apart from one another to opposite ends of the cell. The fourth stage is known as telophase. And in telophase, we end up with a new nuclear membrane that starts developing around these chromosomes. At the end of telophase, we can end up with cytokinesis, where the cell splits in half. So let's look at mitosis more closely. Mitosis is a type of cell division. It has an important role in growth and the replacement of old and damaged cells. This six-stage interactive animation shows how a cell divides by mitosis. Stage 1, all chromosomes are found in the nucleus of a cell. The nucleus is surrounded by a membrane to keep the chromosomes separated from the cytoplasm. In stage 2, before mitosis, DNA replication has to occur, which leads to the duplication of each chromosome. At this point, the cell contains double the normal number of chromosomes. In stage 3, the membrane around the nucleus breaks down. This allows the duplicated chromosomes to enter the cytoplasm. In stage 4, all of the chromosomes line up along the center of the cell. In stage 5, the duplicated chromosomes are pulled apart to opposite ends of the cell. A new membrane forms around each of the chromosomes, and the cell itself starts to divide. Finally, in stage 6, the cell finishes dividing to produce two genetically identical daughter cells. Each daughter cell is diploid, containing a complete set of chromosomes. So let's look at the stages of mitosis in their correct order. Stage 1, the nucleus in the parent cell breaks down. Stage 2, the duplicated chromosomes enter the cytoplasm. Stage 3, the chromosomes line up along the center of the cell. Stage 4, the chromosome copies are pulled apart. Stage 5, the new nuclei begins to form. And stage 6, the cell divides to form two daughter cells. Chromosomes during mitosis. What happens to chromosomes during mitosis? Well, we know our original parent cell has one chromosome from mom and one chromosome from dad, for a total of 2 chromosomes. We then know that the outcome is that we have to have the same number of chromosomes in each of our new cells. But before we get each separate daughter cell with the total amount of chromosomes, we've got to duplicate those chromosomes. Which stage of mitosis can you spot in this picture of cells dividing under the microscope? Here we see chromosomes that are free in the cytoplasm. Here we see chromosomes that are lined up along the center of the cell. Here we can see the duplicated chromosomes being pulled apart.